If you want to start moving to your seats, we're going to begin in about 2 minutes. And then you're right after, yeah? Yeah. Give them 30 more seconds. We're going to give them 30 more seconds. What? I'll move this before you get up here, I promise.
Okay, I need to start. There, go ahead.
Okay, you want that there? Okay. All right. We're going to get going. We are going to get going here today. Welcome, welcome. Find your seats. If you don't have a seat yet, if you have an empty chair, you can wave. Because we don't need to be at like half-empty tables. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Boston Worker Circle Seder. I'm so excited to help with a little bit of emceeing tonight. My name is Amelia Diamond. Among other things, I'm the treasurer of the board and just a really proud BWC member. This is such an interesting holiday to be celebrating in this moment. It's my favorite holiday of all time. And it feels really nice to be amongst people who I know are thinking and feeling and turning over the same sorts of questions about liberation and freedom that I am. It's one of the things I love about Worker Circle is that we really have a general shared values of freedom, liberation, and joy, which we're going to get into tonight. A couple of quick announcements. If you're online, because we're also Zooming for folks at home. Hi, folks at home. If you need any help at any point, use the chat, and someone will hopefully help you out over there. If you're doing a reading tonight, which is a lot of you, please, before, 2 readings before, come stand on either side of the stage here. There are stairs. If for some reason you need us to bring the mic down, just give me a little wave. I'll be over there, and we can help you out. If you would please silence your devices, because you don't want to be that one person that didn't silence their device. It happens every time. And with not much further, I think we're just going to get going. So let's enjoy this wonderful afternoon together.
Thanks, Amelia. Purim, Purim, Purim lano, Pesach, Pesach, alla mano, las matzas están faziendo, los ya practice están faziendo, aman, 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 il do bendicho musamazo. Aman, 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 il Dio bendicho musamazo. Purim, Purim, Purim lano, Pesach. Pesach, Alamana, la nona está diciendo a las nietos, Olimpia el pueblo, cantones y los tecos. Aman, 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 el Dios bendicho Muzamazo. Aman, 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 el Dios bendicho Muzamazo. Purim lano, Pesach a la mano, il Signor Rubi dijo a las tías, no comer pan 8 días. Aman, 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 il Dios bendicho Muzamazo. Aman, 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 il Dios bendicho Muzamazo.
Welcome to our Passover Seder. Although some of us are spatially separated, we are united in spirit. Together we celebrate the festival of the liberation of the Jewish people, who are linked throughout history with all peoples in the passion for justice and freedom. This year, as we retell this ancient story of rebirth and growth, we also recognize liberation movements at home and all over the world today. We commit to a humble journey towards a better understanding of oppression so that we can contribute to collective liberation. For it is said, every person in every generation must regard themselves as having been personally freed from bondage in Mitzrayim, the Hebrew name of ancient Egypt, and a metaphor for a time of enslavement. Let us celebrate our freedom from enslavement in Mitzrayim and strengthen ourselves to join the fight against oppression wherever it exists. For as long as one person is oppressed, none of us are free. In Hebrew, Mitzrayim means the narrow place.
In Hebrew, Mitzrayim means the narrow place. First, a refuge, then a place of enslavement, and finally, the birth canal of a people. Today, we find ourselves in a narrow place created by social and political divisions, highlighting both the gross inequities in our country, in our world, and our interdependence. Let us use this moment to uncover what is often hidden and to deepen our commitment to work towards a world where every life is valued. Let us commit that even when our government will not prioritize the people most impacted, we will care for each other.
The word Seder means order, and Haggadah means the telling. Our Haggadah has retained much of the traditional order, but has adapted much of the content. Ever since Rabbi Akiva used the Seder plate to plan a revolutionary struggle against the Romans, Jews have used the Seder to work on tikkun, healing and transformation. For it is said, whomever enlarges upon the telling of the story of Exodus from Mizraim, those persons are praiseworthy.
Please join us as we light the Passover candles. Not sure who's on that. Oh, everyone is. These candles symbolize an end of winter, a beginning of spring, a cautious reemergence from the COVID pandemic, and also a long history of struggle against oppression. We must join with all oppressed peoples, honoring both our differences and our need to work together for our future and the future of our children.
Okay. As we say in Hebrew, ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו, וציוונו להדליק נר של יום טוב.
As we say in Ladino, brillante es la luz de Pesach, brillante es la luz de la paz, brillante es la luz en la humanidad, brillante es la luz en el mundo.
As we say in Yiddish, lichtig is the shine von Pesach, lichtig is the shine von Shalom. Lichtig is the shine von Menschlichkeit. Lichtig is the shine von der Welt, which means in English, radiant is the light of Pesach. Radiant is the light of peace. Radiant is the light in humanity. Radiant is light in the world.
Today we retell an ancient story, the story of the Exodus from Mitzrayim and our liberation from enslavement. Each year we remember not just the story of our own oppression and deliverance in ancient times, but also our current struggles for social justice. We recognize our own history and the current conditions faced by refugees, especially those denied refuge due to culture, race, and gender. We welcome those who have been traumatized by the savagery of current wars, terrorism, imperialism, colonialism, or climate change. As written in the Torah, do not oppress or mistreat the foreigner, for once you were strangers in the land of Mitzrayim. We recognize our own history as we bear witness to the war between Israel and Hamas. We support the struggle for a Palestinian state, and for Israel to live in peace. We know that Jewish safety and Palestinian safety are inextricably linked. We call for a lasting ceasefire now. We commit ourselves to work towards the collective liberation of all people. We must speak out against the fear and hate born of ignorance.
We invite you to pour the first cup of wine. As we say in Hebrew, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen.
As we say in Ladino, dediquemos el primer vaso de vino al coraje, a la creatividad y a la vitalidad de todas personas opresadas.
As we say in Yiddish, mit dem ersten Gläsel Wein trinken wir le Kavod der Mutigkeit, Schöpferischkeit und Lebendigkeit von divos machen durch Bedrückung, which means in English, let us dedicate the first cup of wine to the courage, creativity, and vitality of those who experience oppression.
Pesach is a springtime holiday. The karpas, or parsley, reminds us of springtime and hope. We dip the karpas in salt water because tears taste salty. We remember the tears of our people who cried in Mitzrayim when we were enslaved. We are mindful of the tears of peoples who are not free. And may we never be so comfortable that we become complacent and forget that pain. May we always be able to feel the connection between our own struggles for freedom and today's struggles against oppression, wherever they occur.
Matzah. I'll wait. Yeah? Everyone have their karpas? Okay. Matzah. Matzah is known as the bread of affliction. One reason we break the middle matzah is to remind ourselves that the key to freedom is to plan for the future. Some are free now, but we must continue to plan for the long term to ensure all will be free. Dividing the matzah also reminds us that our nation is divided by fear and ignorance, racism and economic inequality, Islamophobia and xenophobia. Until these divided parts are made whole, our Seder cannot truly be ended, and our nation cannot be whole. Today we have already broken the matzah and hidden the afikomen, the matzah that the children search for at the end of our Seder. The Seder cannot end until the afikomen is found, which reminds us that our children have a right to be heard.
As we say in Ladino, este es el pan de la aflicción que comieron los padres en tierra de Egipto. Todo el que tiene hambre, venga y coma. Todo el que tiene de menester, venga y pashuque. Which means in English, this is the bread representing our affliction that our people ate in the land of Egypto, or Mizraim. May whoever hungry come and eat. May anyone who is in distress come and celebrate with us.
As the Yiddish writer I.L. Peretz said, "As ihr vet taka zogen, soll jeder, was es hungrig, reinkommen und essen, so keiner nicht darfen reinkommen," which means, if you really call out, let all who are hungry come and eat. May there be no one in the world who needs to come in.
The four questions, the vier kashes. Jewish cultures all over the world have celebrated Pesach and asked the traditional four questions in their own native language. There are several hundred versions from French to Korean to Judeo-Arabic or Hakatia. In English, why is the night different from all other nights? In Ladino, ¿cuánto fue demudada la noche, la esta, más que todas las noches?
So, as we invite the children to sing the traditional four questions, we ask them and answer these questions together tonight. As we say in Hebrew, Manish Tana Halayla Hazeh Mikol Halelot. Shebechol Halelut Anu Achlin Chametz Umatzah Halayla Hazeh Kulo Matzah. Shebechol Halelot Anu Achlin She'ar Yirakot Halayla Hazeh Maror. Shebechol halelot enanu matbilin afilo pa'am echat, הלילה הזה שתי פעמים, שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים בין יושבין ובין מסובין, הלילה הזה כולנו מסובין.
Yep, I'm going to bring it down.
At least now I think they're cool.
Vos is die Donner Pesach, anders von allen anderen ganz Jahr. Shabbat Halleluja. Ane, essen wir kommen, sein Matze, Oberhalle Hazel, in Dosen Pesach Nacht, essen wir nur Matze. Shabbat Halleluja. Ane, essen wir Kohleli Greensen, Oberhalle Hazel, and the Zoll Music Nacht Motor. Boys, bitter, kein bisschen Feuer. Shabbat Halleluja. Ohne token mir ein von Ohnes. Oberhalle Hazel, and the Dose Nacht tun wir ein zweimal. Shabbat Halleluja. Ohne as Oberhalle Hazel, in Dose Pesach Nacht, wir alle umgelernt. Man ist der Halal Hazel, Halleluja. Vos ist die Dosen Pesach, anders von allen ganz Jahr.
I would like to answer the first traditional question. Why do we eat matzah?
When Pharaoh let our ancestors go from Mitzrayim, they were forced to leave quickly.
There was no time to let dough rise and bake it into bread for the journey.
So they snatched up their dough and fled Pharaoh's army.
The hot sun beating down on the dough as they carried it along with them baked it into a flat, unleavened bread, which they called matzah.
That is why we eat matzah on Pesach.
I would like to answer the second question. Why do we eat moror? Our ancestors were enslaved in Mitzrayim, and their lives were made bitter. That is why we eat moror, horseradish, or bitter greens on Pesach. I would like to answer the third question. Why do we dip herbs twice? The first time we dip the parsley in salt water because the parsley reminds us of the green that comes to life again in the springtime. And the salt water reminds us of the tears of the Jewish people before they became free. The second time we dip the moror, the bitter herbs, in the sweet cherosas as a sign of hope. Our ancestors were able to live with the bitterness of enslavement because it was sweetened by the hope of freedom.
Now I would like to answer the last question. Why do we recline? In ancient days, the enslaved were forced to eat quickly because their masters did not permit them to waste a single moment when they could be working. And so the enslaved ate either standing up or squatting on the ground. At our Passover Seder, we mark our freedom by eating or sitting, by eating while sitting or reclining. Four questions. Are there only 4 questions?
There are countless questions.
In the spirit of this holiday, we ask some questions. We ask some of the other questions that burn in our hearts, written by the Shul Daled class.
Why are people still on the streets?
Why are our Earth's skies filled with smoke and pollution?
Why are we still protesting for things that should have happened years ago?
Why are people treated differently because of their religion, skin color, or gender?
The symbols in the story of Passover reflect the struggles against injustice, both old and new. This is the story of Pesach. Let us return to our ancient tradition. During a famine, Jews came to Mitzrayim. Their children multiplied and prospered. They held important positions and played an important role in the political, cultural, and economic life of the country. The old Pharaoh died, and there arose a new Pharaoh who said, "Look, the Jewish people are too mighty for us." So Pharaoh put the Jews into labor gangs and set taskmasters over them with heavy loads. He enslaved them and treated them harshly. In spite of the many cruel decrees of Pharaoh, the Jewish people continued to live and grow strong. Pharaoh now hit on a new and more terrible plan. He commanded the Jewish midwives to kill every boy born to a Jewish family. They refused to comply. 2 of the heroic, defiant midwives, Shifra and Puah, helped a son to be born into the house of Levi, to Yocheved and her husband Amram. Yocheved, frightened by Pharaoh's law, hid her son in a basket and placed it on the river Nile.
Das Kästel häufen Teich, häufen Größen nie. Schwimmt das Kästel ruhig gleich, schwimmt das Kästel still. Und die Feuer sehen still, gehen zart und lind, wie sie wollten hinten sich schlechts dem Kind. Schwimmt das Kästel häufen Teich, häufen Größen nie. Schwimmt das Kästel ruhig gleich, schwimmt das Kästel still. Und die Feuers räuschen nicht, rühren sich nur kein, wie sie wollten zittern, aufheben a Scheun. Schwimmt das Kästel häufen Teich, häufen Größen nie. Schwimmt das Kästel ruhig gleich, schwimmt das Kästel still. Oh, die Feuer seinen doch nicht wie Paare schlecht, nicht ertrinken wollen sie, dem war freier von die Knecht. Schwimmt das Kästel häufen Teich, häufen Größen nie. Schwimmt das Kästel ruhig gleich, schwimmt das Kästel still. Schwimmt das Kästel still.
Pharaoh's daughter rescued the baby. The baby's sister Miriam, who was hiding in the bulrush plants, offered to find a woman to nurse him. She ran to get Yocheved, the baby's mother. So Moshe, which means drawn from the water, was raised by his own mother, his sister, and the Pharaoh's daughter.
Moses grew up as a prince, yet aware that he was Jewish. One day, he tried to stop a taskmaster from beating an enslaved Jew. Moses hit the taskmaster and accidentally killed him. He was forced to flee the palace. The story goes that one day he saw a bush that was on fire and yet alive and green. Moses saw this as a sign that he must rescue the Jewish people from enslavement.
Perhaps the burning bush was the light of freedom shining in his eyes. Some say that Moses was the first community organizer, helping Jews see their treatment as unjust and leading them in a fight against oppression and an escape to freedom, building a sense of unity and peoplehood.
The story says that 10 plagues ravaged Mitzrayim, and then Pharaoh finally agreed to let the Jews leave. Soon after, however, Pharaoh had a change of heart and mobilized his soldiers to recapture the Jews who were now on the shores of the Red Sea. The Jews looked back and saw Pharaoh's army approaching. The only way out was to jump into the sea before them. According to the book of Exodus, the sea parted, creating a path. Legend has it that the waters did not divide until one man, Nachshon, walked into the sea. As he walked in, the water rose above his ankles, above his knees, above his waist, above his shoulders, above his mouth and nose, and he kept walking forward. In doing so, he acted as a free person, ready to take the ultimate risk for freedom, and only then did the waters of the Red Sea part for the Jews to walk through.
What's that I hear now ringing in my ears? I've heard that sound before. What's that I hear now ringing in my ears? I hear it more and more. It's the sound of freedom calling, ringing up to the sky. It's the sound of the old ways falling. You can hear it if you try. You can hear it if you try. What's that I see now shining in my eyes? I've seen that light before. What's that I see now shining in my eyes? I see it more and more. It's the light of freedom shining, shining up to the sky. It's the light of the old ways of falling. You can see it if you try. You can see it if you try. What's that I feel now beating in my heart? I felt that beat before. What's that I feel now beating in my heart? I feel it more and more. It's the rumble of freedom calling, climbing up to the sky. It's the rumble of the old ways of falling. You can hear it if you try. You can see it if you try. You can feel it if you try.
When the Jewish people had crossed the Red Sea, the waters flowed back together, catching the army of Mitzrayim and drowning them. The Jews' joy at escaping enslavement was not complete because they saw the suffering of others.
In very real terms today, that means we see and acknowledge the suffering of the Palestinian people. These eloquent words were written about an event from 10 years ago, and the situation has gotten tragically worse.
No Moses in Siege by Mohammed El-Kurd. Was it because there were no more graves in Gaza that you brought us to the beach to die? Was it because rubbling us in our houses, like our cousins, like our futures, like our gods, would be a bore? Was it because our cemeteries needed cemeteries and our tombstones needed homes? Was it because our fathers needed more grief? We are limbs in the wind, our joy breaking against the shore. Soccer ball in between our feet, we were soccer in between their feet. No place to run, no Moses in siege. Waves stitched together, embroidered, weaved, unwalkable, indivisible, passage, implausible. On most days we weep in advance. We look up to the clouds, got up on clouds. Here we know two suns, Earth's friend and white phosphorus. Here we know two things, death and the few breaths before it. What do you say to children for whom the Red Sea does not part?
A full cup of wine is a symbol of joy.
And we acknowledge the suffering of the people of Mitzrayim by dipping a spoon into our cup and removing a drop of wine, one for each of the 10 plagues.
Okay. Dam, blood. Svardea, frogs. Kinim, lice. Arur, beasts. Dever, cattle disease. Shechin, boils. Barad, hail. Arbe, locusts. Shoshech, darkness. Malkat Bechorot, plague on the firstborn.
Today the world is far from being free. Each drop of wine is hope and a prayer for a bessere Welt, a better world for all. Let us dip again and recite 10 modern plagues.
This year, the Shul Vav class would like to see the world free of these 10 plagues: climate change and pollution, corruption of government agencies,
book bans and censorship, COVID,
war, capitalism,
abuse, hunger and poverty, prejudice, inequality and inequity.
Now here are 10 actions we can take to address these modern plagues, naming 5 aspects of teshuvah, return, repentance, and 5 components of reparations. Recognition, empathy, acknowledgement, transformation, reparations, restitution, compensation, rehabilitation, satisfaction, and guarantees of non-repetition.
Even in times of difficulty, the Seder reminds us that there is still much to do. We have a vision, we take it to heart, and we work hard to make it happen. What miracles and accomplishments would be sufficient in today's world for us to be truly satisfied, to create a besser Welt, a better world? At the end of each line, we invite you to say, Dayenu, which means it would have been enough. When all the workers of the world have enough jobs and money, enjoy safe, healthy, and secure working conditions, and can take pride in their work, when the air, water, fellow creatures, and the beautiful earth are protected for the benefit and enjoyment of all, and given priority over development for the sake of profit. When people of all genders, ages, sexual orientations, races, abilities, religions, cultures, and nations respect and appreciate one another.
When all children grow up in freedom, without hunger, and with love and support needed to realize their full potential. When food, shelter, and health care are accepted as human rights and are available to all. When all who seek welcome in this country are welcomed. When we open our hearts, no less our homes, to every refugee around the world until there are no more refugees. When we achieve a just and equitable end of the occupation of Palestinian lands, so that Israeli Jews and Palestinians can live together in freedom and in peace. Dayenu.
When we dismantle white supremacy in our institutions, neighborhoods, homes, and hearts. Dayenu. When those who have caused harm are held accountable and help to take responsibility and to engage in repair rather than being locked away, out of sight, and abandoned. Dayenu. When young people's lives matter more than guns. Dayenu. When the health of our teachers, food service, and retail workers are valued more than corporate profits and political posturing. And if today each person could say, this year I worked as hard as I could toward collective action in response to collective injustice. Dayenu, Dayenu.
Ilu Hotzianu, Hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, Hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. Wollt kein Seder nicht gewesen, kein Haggadah nicht gewesen, aber gnädig ja gewesen, Dayenu, 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 Dayenu.
What does this mean? It would have been enough. Surely no one of these things would indeed have been enough for us. Dayenu means to celebrate each step toward freedom as if it were enough, then to start out on the next step. It means that if we reject each step because it is not the whole liberation, we will never be able to achieve the whole liberation. It means to sing each verse as if it were the whole thing, and then sing the next verse.
Wie kann man singen, molle Simche, als nur ein Tracht ist genug schon in a Welt voll mit Rechoyim Dayenu? Lass mir singen jede Strophe, wie's wollt gewinnt, das ganze Liedl, noch dem Singen noch a Strophe Dayenu. Noch a bissl und a bissl macht a schöne volle Schüssel, noch a Trott und noch a Trott bis Dayenu. Wenn die Welt ist voll mit Liebschaft, wenn die Welt ist voll mit Freundschaft, Freiheit, Gleichheit, Gerechtigkeit, ja, Dayenu, 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 Dayenu.
On each table is a Seder plate that holds a set of symbolic foods. This is matzah, the bread of liberation, of rebellion that our foremothers baked and ate in a time when they had to be organizing more and cooking less. The eggs are a symbol of springtime, fertility, and the giving of life. We are reminded of Pharaoh's threat to kill newborn Jewish babies and of the courageous midwives who refused to carry out his orders. The egg also tells us the longer things are in hot water, the tougher they become. We dip the eggs in salt water to taste the tears that accompany birth and death in times of enslavement and freedom.
The Paschal Lamb. Tradition directs us to hold up a roasted lamb bone to recall the Passover story of the doorposts of Jewish homes in Mitzrayim, marked with the blood of the sacrificed animals so that the angel of death would pass over and not take the firstborn Jewish children. You could also use a beet to represent the blood and a model or drawing of a lamb bone to represent the lamb, so that no animals are in fact sacrificed for our Seder plates. But the ancient symbol of that first Passover is retained. In this way, we affirm our ancient traditions while acknowledging ethical and ecological concerns about the eating of meat. Many thanks to the Shua for making clay bones. Moror. The bitter herbs symbolize the bitterness of enslavement. And salt water. This represents the tears of our ancestors in enslavement.
Haroses. Haroses is a sweet mixture of fruit and nuts with variations around the world, such as apples, nuts, wine, and spices, dates, figs, apricots, and prunes, or oranges, peanuts, and bananas. In all cases, it symbolizes the mortar that our ancestors used to build pyramids. The sweet taste of the haroses also reminds us that even in the bitterest times of enslavement, our people have always remembered the sweet taste of freedom.
Karpas. The parsley and the salt water remind us that both the tender greens of the earth and the salt of the sea are joined together to sustain life.
Orange. One of the gifts of our tradition is that we are able to interpret and expand the customs that have been handed down to us. One modern custom is the addition of an orange on the Seder plate. Scholar Susanna Heschel began putting an orange on her Seder plate to symbolize the fruitfulness that LGBTQ people bring to the Jewish community. And there are those who add, we left Mitzrayim as enslaved and were reborn as a free people. So we bring to the Seder plate a fruit that carries within itself the seeds of its own rebirth.
Olive. We add the olive to our Seder plate to bring to mind the olive branch, which has long been a symbol of peace, and to remember the olive tree that evokes an ancient past shared by generations, tied to the ritual of harvest and to the traditions of preparing and sharing food with family and friends. The olive reminds us of the heartbreak of the war in Gaza, the Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories, and the massive uprooting of centuries-old Palestinian olive trees. At the same time, we are reminded of the olive branch as a sign of hope and an enduring future dating back to the time of Noah, the receding floodwaters, and the beginning of a new life.
As we say in Hebrew, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
As we say in Ladino, dediquemos el segundo vaso de vino a la paz en juntos con la justicia, que no haya más guerra, no comidas, opresión y ocupación de Israel, Palestina.
As we say in Yiddish, mit dem zweiten Gläsel Wein trinken wir lekoved Sholom und Gerechtigkeit und as Sof zu Milchome, Hungertod, Verdrückung und Okkupation in Israel, Palestine, which means in English, let us dedicate the second cup of wine to peace with justice and an end to war, starvation, oppression, and occupation in Israel, Palestine.
We eat the sweet harosis and bitter moror together to remember the sweetness of freedom and the bitterness of enslavement. As we eat them, we sweeten our awareness that life in the real world is a sandwich of bitter and sweet.
The biblical patriarch Abraham is traditionally considered the father of both Judaism and Islam. Judaism through Abraham's son Isaac, and Islam through Abraham's son Ishmael. Our roots are the same. In the aftermath of Hamas's brutal attack on October 7th and the horrific assault on Gaza that has taken place in the months since, our community has come together in grief and heartbreak. We have held space for the breadth of perspectives that exist within our community and listened to each other with resilience. We have also led with our values, taking action for a negotiated ceasefire, release of hostages and detainees, and a just and lasting peace. As we seek peace in the Middle East, let us remember that Jews and Muslims are cousins. We have an obligation to protect Palestinian life as rigorously as we protect Israeli life. Together, let us engage in solidarity in Israel, Palestine, and throughout the diaspora.
And here we have a fraction of Boston Workers Circle, a Besed Welt Yiddish chorus. Come see all of us, 80 of us, on May 4th for our wonderful concert.
Our hearts go out to all those caught in occupation, oppression, and war. We recall Ukraine's complex Jewish history with pogroms and persecution, Cossacks and Nazi collaborators, as well as fertile soil for Jewish creativity and Yiddishkeit. Ukraine is the heart of the Bloodlands, an area which has witnessed 2 world wars, a civil war, a major famine, and the Holocaust by bullets. Once again, Ukraine has been invaded and occupied, with Russian missiles hitting Babi Yar, the site of the largest shooting of Jews in the Holocaust, Europe's largest mass grave. Ukraine's President Zelensky said, quote, "We were shelled last night in Kyiv, and we all died again at Babi Yar from a missile attack, killing the Holocaust's victims once again," unquote. May there be peace and an end to occupation and oppression in Ukraine, in Yemen, in Syria, in the Congo, in Israel, and in Palestine. Justice is the right of all who live in the wrong places in this world. A quote by Maya Abu al-Hayat, translated from Arabic to English by Fadi Judah.
Passover, 1943, the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. The first night of Passover, April 19th, 1943, 80 years ago, is a historic date in modern Jewish history, the start of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. The Nazis had planned to liquidate the ghetto as a birthday present for Hitler, a Judenrein Warsaw, a Warsaw empty of Jews. But the Jews knew of their plans and were prepared. They resisted. They fought back. Unable to take the ghetto by military force, the desperate Germans destroyed it, brick by brick. With the Warsaw Ghetto in flames, the fighters turned to guerrilla activity. They lived in underground bunkers, fought from the sewers, and struggled on amid the charred rubble of the ghetto. On May 16th, the Germans announced that the fighting was over and that the Jewish quarter of Warsaw no longer exists. But there were still hundreds of Jews in the subterranean bunkers of the ghetto, which was now a heap of ruins. It took Hitler longer to subdue the Jews of Warsaw than to conquer all of Czechoslovakia and Poland. It is fitting that at our Seder we remember and pay homage to those who gave their lives for our honor and freedom.
Because we have so few names of the Jewish women in our history, tonight we will also honor the memory of our unknown brave sisters, those who fought so outrageously against the Nazi horrors. We remember Hannah Sinesh and Haviva Riek, who parachuted behind enemy lines in Hungary and Slovakia to organize resistance and rescue Jews. We remember Vladka Mead, Chaika, and Frumka Platinsny, who served as couriers and smuggled arms for the ghetto fighters. We remember Helene Moskowitz, who worked with the Belgian resistance from inside the Gestapo. We remember Rosa Robota, who organized the smuggling of dynamite to blow up a crematorium in Auschwitz. We remember Heike Grossman, Gustav Drenger, Ziva Lubetkin, Gishi Fleischman, Tosia Altman, Sofia Yamika, Niuta Teitelbaum. Their willingness to sacrifice their lives for the people shines through the words of Hannah Sinesh, written shortly before her execution. Blessed is the match consumed in kindling flame. Blessed is the flame that burns in the secret fastness of the heart. Blessed is the heart with the strength to stop beating for honor's sake. Blessed is the match consumed in kindling flame.
Irena Klepfitz, a child survivor whose father fought and died in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, wrote, "I have concluded that one way to pay tribute to those we loved who struggled, resisted, and died is to hold on to their vision and their fierce outrage at the destruction of the ordinary life of their people. It is this outrage we need to keep alive in our daily life and apply it to all situations, whether they involve Jews or non-Jews. The hysteria of a mother grieving for the teenager who has been shot. Humiliation of a people whose culture is alien and deemed inferior. A people living under military rule. Because of our experience, we recognize these evils as obstacles to peace. At those moments of recognition, we feel the outrage that inspired the Jews of the Warsaw Ghetto and allow it to guide us in present struggles."
As we say in Hebrew, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen.
As we say in Ladino, bebemos el tercer vaso de vino a la memoria del soleamiento en el gueto de Varsovia y para enfortecer nuestra obligación de reconocer y vencer la opresión de nuestros días.
And as we say in Yiddish, mit dem dritten Gläsel Wein, lassen wir gedenken dem Warschauer Ghetto Aufstand und unsere eigene tiefe Übergegebenheit in Gerangel gegen Badrikum, which means in English, we drink the third cup of wine in memory of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising and to deepen our commitment to the struggle to recognize and overcome oppression today.
Miriam's Cup. Rabbinic legend teaches that a magical well inspired by Miriam accompanied the Jews on their journey from Mitzrayim. As a midwife and a powerful Jewish woman and prophetess, Miriam represents birth, possibility, challenge, and moving through uncharted waters. She was also known for her tambourine and her singing. Every table has Miriam's Cup, made by Shula students. Let us fill Miriam's cup with water and honor the strength and joy of women throughout our history.
Elijah's Cup. Maybe I should give you a minute. Elijah's Cup. Elijah the prophet, Elia Hanovi, traditionally wanders the world in the garb of a poor person to see how the world treats the downtrodden, to see whether the world has achieved the justice and is ready for the coming of the Messiah. Elijah is the symbolic hope of peace, freedom, and happiness that will come to our people and to all the people of the world. Elijah comes to every Seder as a loving guest. Let us each pour some wine into Elijah's cup to show that we will act together. And let us open the door for Elijah to show that we will welcome everyone, strangers, immigrants, refugees, and new ideas which strengthen and enrich our lives.
Today, we cannot just sit passively and await Elijah's return. Let us, like Elijah, be moved to action to bring about a world of peace and justice. Here's a letter that that the Boston Workers' Circle Immigrant Justice Committee received from a couple, Vlad and Neela, who we have been helping. They're Haitian refugees. We are Vlad Mixie and Neela Ambroise, a Haitian couple who arrived in the U.S. on October 4th, 2023. Since we met your group, you have helped us integrate better by helping us find housing, financial assistance, giving us good advice, finding an English course, and you have put volunteers at our disposal to help us improve our English, find a job, and many other good things that I haven't listed. In addition, you always want to know how we are doing. What do we need? You put us at ease if we have any questions or other concerns to let you know. We are blessed to have you, and we are very grateful for everything you do for us, and we very much hope to find stable employment very soon. Vladimir and Neela. There's an action list at the end of Haggadah to see how you can help Vladimir, Neela, and others, and to help other committees doing their work.
Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Hallewarten Jungenen, bring the Lesen, komm je bald, mit Moshiach ben David, mit Moshiach ben David. Miriam Hanavia, Old Vazimra Bayada, Miriam Tirkodetanu, Lechadil Zimrat Olam, Miriam Tirkodetanu, Lechadil Zimrat Olam, Bimvera Beyamenu, Yitadil Hivenu, Elme Hayeshua, Elme Hayeshua, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiloti.
We're getting there, folks. But it's so beautiful. We could do this for a while longer, right? I want to give some thank yous before we get into the last bit of the Seder and then into our meal. I'm going to give you a lot of names. Stick with me. A big thank you to our musicians, Polly Katz, Bob Folensby, Eric Ludwig, and the members of a Beservelt Yiddish chorus. And you heard they have a concert coming. On the ritual committee who put together, I believe, this Haggadah for us, Linda Gritz, Polly Katz, Rochelle Ruthchild, Susan Langus, and Zohar Berman. Thanks on logistics to Jenny Hochstadt, Rebecca Hornstein, Sandy Martin, and Zohar Berman. Thanks to Sandy and Mira for managing registration and publicity. Thank you to everyone who made hard-boiled eggs and charoises. Thank you, Leslie Joyceman, for flowers. Thank you, Jenny, Ellen Mass, and Emmy Shell for shopping. That's a big one. That's like a really important one. Jenny and Maya for setup coordination, Kimberly Arkin for cleanup coordination, all of our volunteers, Meira Solov and all the Shula teachers and students for their writing and their reading and their singing. Thank you to our friends at Streamography for the live stream. Thanks to everyone who offered more help than was needed. It takes a village or a shtetl. I hope that you have been enjoying, if you're online, that you're enjoying as well. We're going to wrap up in just a minute, but if you have feedback about this Seder, or you want to join the ritual committee, you can see the end of the Haggadah for ways to share thoughts, or, again, join the committee. So I'm on the board. I gotta do this. Sorry. Boston Workers Circle is a secular space dedicated to defining and advancing social justice and mutual aid for the Jewish left. We've been doing that for a very long time. For over a century, we've built a vibrant and intergenerational community that's committed to making a better world. We are self-funded and rely on the support of our community to continuing offering these kinds of events, social justice programs that actively fight against oppression. As you've heard today, we are leading in Boston on creating alternative institutions that allow the Jewish left to thrive. If you are not a member yet, I would really welcome you to become a member. And you can also make a donation today if you felt like you want to continue these kinds of events and continue to see Workers Circle thrive. Thanks for being part of this community, and thank you so much for your support.
We are the Hay class, the 5th grade class of BWC Shula. A few weeks ago, we did a protest in favor of the Thrive Act, which would remove the MCAS graduation requirement. The MCAS graduation requirement means that you have to get a certain passing grade on the MCAS in order to get a high school diploma. Without a diploma, it's hard to get a good job and to make money. It's important to remove the MCAS graduation requirement because some people wouldn't be able to pass. This most affects people who are still learning English and people with certain learning disabilities. The Thrive Act makes it so that the MCAS and graduation requirements are more flexible. We had a protest on March 3rd at 2:30 at the Massachusetts State House. We had a skit about the Thrive Act. The news came. Channel 7, the Boston Herald, and WBZ all reported on the protest. We worked with the Massachusetts Teachers Association, called the MTA, and we will continue to support them.
Ready for the 4th cup and wine? As we say in Hebrew, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagofen.
Yes. As we say in Latino, bebemos este cuartel vaso de vino para asegurar que todas criaturas puyen.
I'm going to follow in Linda's footsteps. As we say in Yiddish, mit dem Felgengläsel Wein rufen wir auf zu Akties, kedei alle Kinder sollen bliehen. Which means in English, with the 4th cup of wine, we send out a call to action so that all children can thrive.
Hag Gayo, one little goat, is traditionally sung at the end of a Seder. In one interpretation, the song symbolizes a long chain of cause and effect, with justice prevailing in the end. Hag Gayo has many verses and has been sung in many languages, including Hebrew, Aramaic, Yiddish, and Judeo-Arabic. Here are a few verses in Ladino.
Near the end, not at the end.
Mi padre por dos levanim, y vino el gato que se comió el cabritico, que lo merqueó mi padre por dos levanim, y vino el perro y que quedó el gato y que merqueó el cabritico, que lo merqueó mi padre por dos levanim, y vino el palo y ajalbró el perro, que mordió el gato, que se comió el cabritico, que lo merqueó mi padre por dos levanim, y vino el fuego y como el pelo y ajalbró el perro, que che mordió el gato, que se comió el cabritico, que lo merqueó mi padre por 2 levanim, por 2 levanim. Y vino la agua, ya mató el fuego, que como el palo, que ajabró el perro, que mordió el gato, que se comió el cabritico, que lo merqueó mi padre por 2 levanim, por 2 levanim, por 2 levanim, por 2 levanim.
Sorry, Mary. I put up the 13th and then I had to take that down. Very good flexibility.
The Seder obligates each of us to view ourselves as if we individually were liberated from enslavement. We are reminded that liberation is never to be taken for granted. It requires constant rededication and action. The Seder often ends with the words, Lashana Haba'ah B'Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem. Let us reflect on the meaning of these words for secular Jews who yearn for peace with hard-earned justice. We wish for next year in a Jerusalem that is shared among peoples and religious communities whose histories are twisted together like an ancient vine. Today we say, next year in this Jerusalem.
May the spirit of this festival of freedom remain with us throughout the coming year. May its teachings inspire us to work toward our vision of a Beser Welt, a better world. There is no way to get from here to there except by joining together, working, marching, and sometimes stumbling through the wilderness, watching. This time, not for signs and wonders, but for opportunities to act. And whatever the obstacles, together we will prevail.
Though we are at the end of the Seder, this moment marks the beginning. Let us begin the new season with a renewed awareness of the freedoms we enjoy and the obstacles we must still confront. We look forward to the time when we gather together again. We have retold the ancient stories, recalled historic movements of liberation, and reflected on the struggles people still face for freedom and equality. As spring breaks out all around us, we now embark on a year that we hope will bring positive change in the world and freedom to people everywhere. Green shoots of social justice activism are bursting into life, with a rallying cry to actively build a world where all people are valued, protected, and free. After this last song of our community Seder, the children are invited to search for the afikomen as we prepare for our Seder meal. When you find one, bring the envelope here and see if you can figure out the surprise. So in case you can't tell, there are multiple afikomen for many children. With this, I think, okay, that's how we usually do it. With just envelopes. There is no actual matzah. With this spring and Pesach, our faith, our yearning, and our work for a better world are renewed.
The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. where we are called to be. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The storm is raging, and so are we. The storm is raging, and so are we. The storm is raging, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. The tide is rising, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be.
All right, last time-ish you'll hear from me. So I'm going to talk about your food, and you want to know about your food. So on your table, anyone who's selected chicken, your meal is on your table. There's chicken, potatoes, and a honey kale salad. If you requested tofu or mac and cheese, you should have been given a little ticket when you signed in. And I'm going to do little chunks of the room to go get that food. Does that make sense? Okay, so also there's a garden salad, I believe, if you prefer that to the honey kale. Very important. On the left side table, closest to me, is a nut and alcohol-free charoset, if you'd like it. And there's just extra charoset over there. Okay, I'm going to just say the shula tables go first for all of our, So if you got tofu or mac and cheese and you are at a shula table, go ahead.
And Shola kids who have, or not Shola kids, anybody who has found an envelope is welcome to come on up and bring the envelope up here to see if we can figure out what was spelled. So let's give it a try. Open them up. Yep. So there are letters. There's nothing in there. Okay, there's something in that one. Good. No, we need that. Let's give it to someone else. Cool. Great. You got it.
Okay, so this is Thea. Thea found this one. I'm going to bring it as Thea's.
Okay. And Thea's going to be...
Thea's not going to be doing this.
Okay, so let's give it to someone so they can hold it.
I'll hold it.
Is that okay?
Okay, cool.
All right, we've got an N. You don't need the envelope. I can take the envelope. We'll not bring the envelope.
I don't have anything.
Okay, I'm very confused by that, but...
We found 3 of them in a box.
Oh, that was probably
That's the
extra.
they're the empty envelopes. So it's okay. We've got other letters. So can you give the letter to somebody? Wonderful.
What letter is it? It is...
All right, there's still more.
Oh,
we had...
if this was brown, I would call it brown. Should I go search for more? Yeah, go search for more. Oh.
There are 7... Wait. What did I do? 12. There are 12...
So there's how many letters? 12 letters.
We're still looking for more envelopes.
Okay. Okay, let's put them up here. Let's put them up here so then we don't have to...
We'll hold on to it because you're going to want to be holding it.
Okay, let's hold on to it. Come on. Wait, can we keep looking for it?
You can keep looking? Oh, yeah. And if you find another one, give it to another kid, okay? So go ahead, keep looking.
If there are folks at these 2 lines of tables right here that are going to get tofu and mac and cheese, please go ahead. mean,
you know,
I don't think I knew that was an option.
Oh, it's the last one. And
That's why. I was like, is that a kid thing? Is that only for
No,
kids?
I am.
Now I
That's
know.
me.
For the future.
Let's see. So people that get them, you see that person in the white shirt in the gray? Do you want to find some? Do you feel comfortable? Do you want me to help you?
So interesting.
Did you find more? Not yet? Did you look under tables? Okay. Smart. Behind there. Nothing back there. How many do we have left?
I know, but they all have them. Okay, let's have anybody who found one come back. And everybody else keep looking. I think we're still looking for 7.
There's a
okay,
lot.
Good. We got a few. Good.
Okay.
Bring them over.
Almost there.
Hi.
All right, these last 2 sections, if you got tofu or mac and cheese, please go ahead and grab it. Go over here. Go over.
Awesome.
If anyone has not gotten their tofu or mac and cheese, go get it now. Enjoy.
You were in the middle. Oh, good. We found an O. You are going to be in between those 2. So, take a look. That's one of the words.
No.
Yep, all the way.
No. Now. You can't wait. No, because if it was a longer word, it could
It is 2 words, but one is a compound word.
Oh, it's 2 words. What about
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
well, wait.
that's a part. It's 2
We
words.
already found.
We have not found all of them.
Oh.
Keep on looking.
Wait, where does the S go?
It's part of the first part of the compound words, so you're good there.
Whoa.
Where are you?
Hi.
Yes, you're going to be the second one. We'll have to find out, and you guys will all shout out what it spells. Okay.
Hello. This is wait, Polly. Polly. Get over here, you guys.
All right, we found some.
All right, guys. Come.
All right. Are you willing to give one to a friend?
Wait, where does A go?
Next to you.
Wait, is there a T? I got Yos. C-E-N. Oh, ceasefire.
Interesting.
Does anyone know how to spell that? Yeah, we need F and I R and T.
Okay.
You guys have now. It's ceasefire now. Yeah, it's ceasefire now. Is there an F? Wait.
Yeah,
Right here. I found one.
And
Wait,
oh,
I
you
made
found one. What are you? You are another E.
E is at the end. It's next to a letter.
Wait. Not so. Yep. Because we're missing an R and an F.
Yeah, R and F. Okay, I'll go search for that.
Well, wait. Why don't you call out and tell them what they're missing? Do you want to say?
Yeah, we are looking for an R and an F.
So, do we think? Are there any kids still looking?
And if there's anybody is there any kids still searching?
Poppy and Jasper, go find. You don't remember where you hid them. Okay. Why don't you guys?
You're sure?
Why don't you guys tell them what it is? 1, 2,